Yo, Harvey Bloodline. This week we're talking about books that we have loved throughout our lives. Mom probably knows better than I do what my very first favorite book was, but the first book that I remember really loving was this one, Round Trip by Ann Jonas. In the front it says, "To Jessica, congratulations on reading 101 books this year. Happy reading, Mrs. Arlian." And I think I got this because I was in a remedial reading class when I was in first or second grade or something. And I think this was like my prize for reading all of my books. There's a really cool book. You read through it, but then when you get to the end, you turn it over and you read it backwards. And the pictures make sense both right side up and upside down. It's really cool. See? See? Another book from my elementary school days would be The Dumb Bunnies. I think I got this book when I was in third grade at Joaquin Elementary. I saw it at one of those scholastic book fairs that they usually have during parent-teacher conferences, and I hid it behind some other books so that when my mom came back from the parent-teacher conferences, she would buy it for me, and she did. But this is not that copy. This is a copy that my mom got me for Christmas this past year. I don't know if you can really count Calvin and Hobbes because it's a comic strip, but technically they're collected into book form. So it should count, right? I got into Calvin and Hobbes around the same time. We were in South Dakota, I think. I can't remember exactly how it started with Calvin and Hobbes, like if I got it from the library or if I got it from a book fair. I know that once I got into Calvin and Hobbes, though, that's all I ever got from the book fairs anymore. Calvin and Hobbes is still absolutely hilarious, and it's funny how much more I understand it now than I did when I was like 12. Now, my all-time favorite book, Brio by Garth Nix. I got this book at a book fair. Surprise, surprise. I apparently got all my books from book fairs back when I was in middle school. So every book fair, my mom would let each of us pick out one book. And usually I went for the Calvin and Hobbes, but this time I saw this cover, and it's a really cool looking cover. As you can tell, it's very cool. And it really caught my attention. I read the back and it said something about dark secrets and mysterious magic and things like that. And I was interested, and so I had my mom get it for me, and I started reading it immediately. I sat down under a table in the school while she was finishing up her parent-teacher conferences, and I started reading it, and I didn't stop reading it until the next day when I finished it. And it was the first time ever in my life that I had been sucked in by a book like that. And it just really, it blew my mind. I didn't know books could be like that, and I didn't know books could do that to you. And it still is my all-time favorite book. It's so good. It's just so good. So moving on to the high school years, I'm sorry to say I didn't read a lot in high school. Well, I should rephrase. I did read a lot, but I didn't read a lot for personal pleasure. I read a lot of assigned books. There were really only 2 sets of books that I got into in high school for myself. The first one is Harry Potter. So I had friends and little sisters who were really into Harry Potter, but I just hadn't really been interested. But then the first movie was going to come out, and so I decided, well, I better just go ahead and read these. And so I read the first 4 in less than a week. They were extremely easy to get through for some reason. And I will confess, the first 2 books, not blown away. I didn't really like them. I thought they were pretty boring. But then the third book was sweet. Third book was really good. And then I was hooked ever since then. Been super hooked. Love Harry Potter. Harry Potter's great. The other book that really got me in high school was The Lord of the Rings. And I should say books, because it is 3 books. But actually this is the copy, not this exact copy, but this is the edition that I read in high school. I got it from the library. Our public library had different stickers for different genres of books, and the fantasy books all had little unicorns on them. And so I would always just go and find unicorn books, and I would just read unicorn books. And one day I saw this giant, massive monstrosity of a book, and it had a big pink unicorn on it, and so I took it home and I started reading it, and it was mind-blowing. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say that I sat down and just poured through it day after day after day until I finished it. I did not. It took me 6 months to read all of this because, as any of you who have read The Lord of the Rings knows, it's not always that exciting. And so there would be times where I would stay up till 4 in the morning just reading and reading, and then there would be other times where I couldn't get myself to crack the book for like 2 weeks just because I knew that I was in a boring part and I just didn't even want to do it. And it wasn't actually too long after I finished it that they announced the movies, so that was a very happy time in my life. Lately, I've been really into reading classics. My most recent favorites are Jane Eyre, Little Women, and Dracula. I read Dracula last fall and I was literally blown away. It was so good. I was really impressed. I wasn't expecting that much. I thought it was going to be pretty boring, pretty lame, and it was not any of those things. It was so good. When it comes down to it, my favorite genre of literature, hold on, I got a toot. That's what I get for eating chili dogs for dinner, huh, Choco? When it comes down to it, my favorite genre of literature is definitely fantasy. I always gravitate towards it. It's just the best. I love it. Hopefully you guys are all having a fantastic 4th of July. We didn't do a whole lot. We grilled hot dogs and watched Independence Day. I guess that's a pretty good 4th of July. No fireworks. But what can you do? We're in Germany. They don't really care about America's Independence Day. All right, see you guys later. Choco! You're a bad boy. I'm gonna throw something at you.